I've made a couple of Persona facts videos over the past year, and you all seem to really enjoy them, so I am here once again to share a ton of random information about the series with you all. There's basically no end to the trivia and knowledge when it comes to a series this old, so instead of drawing out this intro any longer, I'll let you enjoy these 84 unique facts in all their glory. I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Many Japanese fans refer to Narukami as Bancho, which means leader in Japanese. This is especially common in the P4AU community despite him having a canon name in that game. As a result, Shadow Narukami is referred to as Kage Bancho. Kage meaning shadow of course, so shadow leader. In the Persona 4 manga, the Naoki social link is attached to Yosuke rather than Narukami. They bond over their feelings and loss of Saki together to move on together, which is one of my favorite parts of the adaptation. The first anniversary celebration of Persona 5 The Phantom X will feature Makoto Yuki as the main headliner, which is the Persona 3 protagonist. This marks the first non-Persona 5 character to make an appearance in the title. On April 8th of this year, Atlus released a demo of Persona 3 Reload just 14 months after the initial release on February 2nd, 2024. It's about a 10-hour demo and lets you play up to the first full moon operation, so if you've been on the fence, here's your chance to give it a shot. The name Yu means quiet and Narukami was a thunder god, so he's a quiet thunder god. Makes sense for a silent protagonist using electricity skills. Persona 5 The Phantom X has finally revealed its next member of the Phantom Thieves. His name is Shoki Ikanami and he is a popular stage play actor, which fits Persona 5 pretty well considering how flashy and over the top it is. In the spin-off anime Persona Trinity Soul, there's a small scene with someone who very much resembles Junpei at the airport. We don't know if it was truly him, but he has the exact same outfit as his winter casual, so who knows really. Probably for the best though, he dodged a bullet because that anime was not well received. In Persona 3 Portable, they had to change the social link arcanas of certain characters to make sure there weren't repeats. Shinji was assigned to the moon and Akihiko was assigned to the star. Junpei, Ken, and the girls were able to retain their arcana. This means Kenji, the Gourmet King, and Hayase were lost. Not much missing with those first two, at all, but Hayase, that is a shame. There are way more characters named Joker than you probably think. In Persona 2 and 5 alone, we have the Joker from The Rumor, another Joker from basically the same thing, and the Joker most people are familiar with. Will we see even more Jokers in the future? Honestly, probably yeah. In Persona 5, there are many systems in place to show that Futaba and Haru never forgave Akechi for what he did in the past. They'll bring it up during the safe room discussions from time to time, and in the Thieves' Den, they cannot play Tycoon with them at the table. Asuna from Sword Art Online and Haru share the same voice actors, Haruka Tomatsu. Due to this, when they had a collaboration between the two games in Sword Art Online Memory Defrag, Asuna had a costume where she dressed as Haru. The best character in the 1.1 version of Persona 4 Arena Ultimax was heavily debated for a long time. Some would argue Narukami since he excelled in everything, but Yosuke had a literal glitch that made it hell to fight against him. Pick your poison, I guess, and if you're curious who the best character in the new version is, that would be Yukari Takeba. Speaking of Ultimax, Yu Narukami is the only character to have a Deadly Rave super in the Thunder God Dance. It's a 10 input super that takes 150 meter to perform and it does a minimum damage value of 3,200. Very good for closing out rounds. Once Yusuke joins the Phantom Thieves, he becomes the card designer for the calling cards from then onward. He also uses this ability to create a skill card onto a blank one, which parallels the Demon Painter's role in Persona 2. Another quick fact about Yusuke is that he is the tallest member of the Phantom Thieves, which I think is pretty apparent. The Persona 3 manga had a slight misprint for the 6th volume. Instead of Ken being on the spine, it mistakenly used the Yukari spine from volume 2. Honestly, no idea how this made it through QC, but hey, things can happen, I guess. When Joker first meets Ann before entering the metaverse for the first time, a unique song plays that only plays in this particular cutscene. The song is honestly pretty damn good, which makes it a shame it's so short and is only used once. Persona 5 Strikers was the first Persona game to be released on the Nintendo Switch. This parallels Persona Q being the first game on the 3DS in that the story low-key makes no sense if you haven't played the other games. But since the other games didn't exist on Nintendo platforms at the time, yeah, you can kinda see the issue. Alice in Wonderland has been used as inspiration or a reference for many Persona characters and dungeons. In Persona Q, there's the You in Wonderland dungeon, and then Persona 5 Strikers has Alice Hiragi as the first jail owner. The jail has many references to the story as expected. The PSP version of Persona 2 Eternal Punishment added an additional chapter called the Tatsuya scenario. In this scenario, you play from the point of view of Tatsuya during the events of the game. It's honestly one of the best side stories in the series in my opinion, which is all the more reason for them to remaster or remake these games. In Persona 2, the main place you spread rumors at, the Kuzunoha Detective Agency, is named after Raito Kuzunoha, who stars in his own Shin Megami Tensei games. There's a good amount of references to Raito, like him being the name of Narukami in the PS2 manual of Persona 4. Speaking of Raito, at the end of Volume 1 of Persona 5's manga, there's a page with Narukami and Raito together as the mangaka gives some of his thoughts. Tatsuya from Persona 2 shares the same voice actor as Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Tatsuya can also stop time with the skill Nova Kaiser. Takahito Koyasu voiced Tatsuya long before he did Dio, and since Persona and JoJo share a lot of connections, maybe there's more to it than we think. But that's just a theory. In Persona 2 Innocent Sin, Yukino refers to Naoya as a gambling addict who put it above the serious issues that they had. This is definitely a reference to how the gambling aspect of those games are the best way to get good equipment. If you choose the P3 route in Persona Q, once you meet the P4 side, Naoto is referred to as an intelligent looking boy. A pretty cool way to show that aspect of her character arc. When you win a battle wearing the Gekkoukan uniforms in Persona 4 Golden, the characters will imitate the win poses from the Cease team. Kanji, for example, mirrors Akihiko's win pose. In the manga adaptation for P4, during the shadow battles, the characters confront and accept themselves in the middle of the battle rather than afterward. Yosuke, for an example, defeats Shadow Yosuke with Jiraiya. Kinda breaks the rules of how shadows in Personas work, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. Yukiko wears the color red via recommendation from Chie. Very short fact, but interesting nonetheless. In both the anime and manga adaptations, it's revealed Chie and Yukiko met on the riverbank as Yukiko ran away from home with a dog. Chie consoled her and they became friends from then on. Moments like these make the adaptations worth checking out. In the 7th episode of Persona 4's anime, Margaret accidentally calls Yukiko the Empress Arcana when she's actually the priestess.
That bond has allowed you to obtain the Empress persona.
In BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, there's a special art with Chie and Yukiko alongside Noelle and Makoto from BlazBlue sharing dishes together. Mystery Food X naturally makes an appearance. Throughout the more modern Persona games, so P3 through P5, if you romance more than one girl, you have an event revolving around it. Kotone Shiomi is the only exception. No matter how many of the males you romance, you will see no repercussions or confrontation about it. Girl boss? Question mark? In the game files of Persona Q, there are 2 debug texts that reference Chie as being the best girl. One says Kodomaru is out sick for this ROM. His part will be played by Chie, because she is #BestWaifu2014. And the other says P3 route destined partner event not implemented in this ROM. Partner automatically changed to Chie. So it seems that Chie superfan was amongst the development team. In the voice actor meetup for the Reload cast, Shinji's voice actor Justice Slocum said his favorite voice line was Fuka saying "Wind is the way to go," which is super based.
I have 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Hit him.
Okay, Fuka, wind is the way to go.
I've never heard that in my
sound so
entire
Never
life.
analyzed anybody.
A demo version of Persona 2 Innocent Sin was included with the PS1 release of Soul Hackers. It has small differences in cut content in it, which is a nice novelty. Revelations Persona sold really poorly. By January 2003, it only sold 37,947 copies. In comparison, Megami Bundoku Persona, the Japanese version of Persona 1, sold 409,491 copies by July 6, 1997, making it the best-selling game until Persona 5. Quite a drastic difference, as you can easily tell. Persona 4 on the PlayStation 2 has roughly 50% more dialogue than Persona 3. This makes sense when you consider how the shadows, TV world, and overall murder mystery add to the dialogue. Persona 3's Tartarus had very little dialogue attached to it. As of recording this video, Johnny Young Bosch and Alex Lee are sitting at number 1 and number 2 respectively on the trending list of behind the voice actors. Johnny voices Yu Narukami and Alex Lee voices Makoto Yuki. In the PSP version of Persona 1, in English the cutscenes have voice acting from all the characters, but in Japanese all characters remain silent besides Philemon. I think both versions work pretty well. Persona 4 Golden was initially planned to be released on the PSP rather than the PlayStation Vita, but they changed it during development. I'm assuming they wanted to go beyond what they did for Persona 3 Portable and opted to go for the next-gen platform to keep the essence of the game intact. Persona 3's battle system looked a lot different in early development. Honestly, with this battle prototype, it makes me wonder what the hell the original idea for the game even was, because it's kind of like a mix of P3's final system, but something like the older games as well. All I'm gonna say is I'm glad we got what we did. The font used for the Japanese text in Persona 5 is called SlumpDB. It was created by Fontworks, a common creator of many of the fonts used in the Persona games. The DLC for Persona 5 Royal may be free nowadays, but when it was initially released, it was not free at all. In fact, it was kind of a scam, but once they released the next-gen versions that had the DLC included for free, they decided to make it free on the PSN store afterward. It was $60 for the whole bundle, which is why I never include the DLC into discussions of gameplay and things like that. Persona 5 Royal is the only game to feature the Counselor and Faith as confidants. Persona 5 Strikers also has some unique arcana choices, with Sophie being the Hope and Senkichi being the Apostle. I think that's how you say it anyway. Apostole? Very bizarrely, the Persona 3 movies received a German dub even though the game itself never received one. I really don't know the story behind how or why this came to be, but very interesting to say the least. Persona 2's manga adaptation covers a completely different story and protagonist. I don't know much about it beyond that, but the game never received a normal manga adaptation, making it the only mainline game in the series to not have one. There was a spin-off manga called Persona Cross Detective Naoto that focused on her own detective escapades after the events of Persona 4 had concluded. It never received a release outside of Japan. There was a Persona 4 mobile card game called Persona 4 The Card Battle. You were able to choose music from the games and anime to play. It shut down on May 9th, 2014. During the scenes in Persona 5 where the Phantom Thieves try to spend time with Futaba for the first time, Yusuke messes around with Futaba's figures. He puts them in the position of the Ginyu Force from Dragon Ball Z, which is super based, long live the Ginyu Force! There are about 15 Persona mobile games, including Persona 5 The Phantom X. Some of the extremely obscure ones are Persona 3 Social, Persona Mobile Online, and Megami Tensei Chaining Soul Persona 3. None of these are possible to play today, at least not easily. Despite how Atlus tends to associate Persona 2 with the color orange in modern times, its main colors are generally seen as red and gray, or maybe more navy blue. They have never been associated with orange outside of stuff like the 25th anniversary celebration. In Persona Q, you cannot give the P4 protag the name Yu Narukami because there aren't enough letters to fit the name. You can, however, name the P3 protag Makoto Yuki. This is similar to Persona Q2, where it's impossible to name Joker Ren Amamiya. If you want a retribution for these, you can use the manga names Soji Seita and Akira Kurusu. Your choice. In Persona 3 Fest and Persona 3 Portable, if you use the restroom in the school or dorm, it has a chance to cure the tired status if you have it. These games in Persona 5 Royal, to my knowledge, are the only games where the bathroom has actual gameplay purposes. Depending on what your proficiency stat is, Joker's animations during the hangout events and such can change. At the start he can't do much, but by the max level he can do tricks with his phone and pencil. The persona Magatsu Izanagi is most likely a nod to the Magatsuhi in the Shin Megami Tensei games. They share a similar aesthetic and color, and considering what Magatsu Izanagi is, it would make total sense. Mark's design in Persona 1 has the Devil Summoner protagonist on his hoodie. Outside of seeing his render fully, you really wouldn't be able to tell, but seeing them side by side makes it a lot easier to notice. A new Persona 3 stage play was announced on March 26, 2025, and will be performed from the 6th to the 13th of July. This gives the protagonist yet another name, Kanata Shiomi. This is interesting because Shiomi is of course the last name of the female counterpart, and the first initial is the same as well. Probably just some nice fan service. Even the skills Madarame uses are plagiarized. They have the same effect as the single target magic skills, but they are renamed to things such as Thunderclap, Flame Dance, and such. The World and Universe Arcana share the same number in the Tarot decks. This means the World and Universe are functionally the same thing, but it's possible that there is some hidden difference in the Persona universe since we really haven't seen much from the universe. Persona Q and Q2 have some personas that have never made an appearance in another game, at least another Persona game, one being Raiju. It uses electricity skills in Q1 and physical attacks in Q2. He is level 12 and a part of the Tower Arcana. Makoto in Persona 3 is able to use fusion spells all by himself when the P1 and P2 cast needed multiple people to perform them. This is still retained in Reload, where he is the only character to be able to use multiple personas for theurgy. Aigis obtained the same ability in the answer. Speaking of Aigis and her ability, she uses a weaponized version of Palladian in her insta-kill attack in Persona 4 Arena despite having Athena in that game. Shujin in Japanese can also mean prisoner, so the school name Shujin High School can also be interpreted as Prisoner High School if taken literally. Pretty on the nose, but it's more funny than anything. At some point in Persona 5's development, Akechi was meant to have his own palace. This is shown by unused negotiation files in the game files, which makes you really wonder what P5 would have looked like if this made it to the final release. There are 18 human outlines drawn on the entrance of the TV world, and there are 13 angels on the top floors of the Heaven Dungeon. This is featured in the Midnight Trivia Miracle Quiz, and I have no idea how they expected you to know that. Shin Megami Tensei If laid the foundation for the Persona series as we know it today. It takes place in the Persona universe and has gameplay elements like the Guardian Demons that would later be used as inspiration for Megami Ibundoku Persona. Kazuma Kaneko, an artist who has done a lot of work for the Persona series, released a new game that uses AI-generated art. Apparently the AI is trained from his own art, but after seeing some of it myself, I'm genuinely not convinced that's true. A total shame. After November 22nd in Persona 3, Junpei's grades will go from really bad to about average. This is to symbolize his growth as a person and how he is starting to take his life more seriously. The dungeon theme of the cruise ship palace is a slowed down version of Tokyo Daylight, the main overworld theme as you roam around Shibuya and such. Narukami is the only protagonist who cannot register his ultimate persona to the compendium. If you get rid of him or start a new playthrough, you'll have to perform the 12 persona fusion all over again. He's also the only protag to have his ultimate persona be the World Arcana. Makoto Yuki became a Persona user 16 years ago. He awakened to Orpheus on April 9th, 2009. Little did we know what all this would lead to. In Persona 4 Arena, despite taking place 2 months after the true ending, the P4 cast used their default personas. This means that Narukami never maxed any of their social links, cause, the P3 cast have their evolved personas. Even Teddy, who has an auto-advancing social link, uses his default persona. Very bizarre. Orpheus is technically the weakest starter persona in the series. He is weak to multiple affinities with no resistances, and on top of that, one of those weaknesses is dark, so he's prone to Muto. Joker's Arsene is weak to light and ice, but he at least resists curse. There were a couple of novels made for Persona 1 called Shadow Maze and Kandari no Yabo. Shadow Maze follows Maki as the protagonist, and Kandari no Yabo of course follows Kandari. When you die in Persona 2, you'll appear before Philemon, and he'll basically tell you to go back to the title screen and reload your save data. It's a pretty fun way of doing it, and it parallels those walls of text you get in the newer Persona games. There are hidden codes you can use in Persona 4 Dancing to change the background color in free play mode. The codes will be shown on screen alongside the color it changes them to. Give them a try yourself sometime. Nanako is initially meant to be in Persona 5. In the game files you can see a grown-up version of her, and the animations attached to her were reused from FemC. If you mod Fuka into your party in the PS2 versions of Persona 3, she will use Junpei's portrait and Makoto's model. Her animation is an unused animation for the protag's one-handed sword. If you use her at all in battle, the game will crash. Tragic. Persona Q was initially going to use the PS2 models instead of the chibi models we received in the final game. I'm honestly pretty fond of the chibi models, so I'm happy we got that instead. Not that the PS2 models are bad, of course. Ellie from Persona 1 and 2 is the only playable character to be of the Judgment Arcana. In Persona 3, 4, and 5, the Judgment Arcana are attached to story-related social links. Despite the fact that the Snow Queen quest does not exist in Revelations Persona, there is actually a fully dubbed cutscene with Philemon around Hypnos Tower. Ken and Koromaru's original designs in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax were a lot different than what we got in the final game. Some range from pretty good to oh my goodness. I think sticking with the Gekkoukan uniform was probably a decent move. As far as I'm aware, the longest song in the Persona franchise is the Genesis from Persona 4. It plays for the final boss fight and has a very unique composition to say the least, and I actually like it a lot nowadays. It has a runtime of 7 minutes and 50 seconds. I don't know if I even need to say what this final fact is going to be, but for those who aren't well initiated, I'll say it regardless. Fuka, without a shadow of a doubt on everybody's soul, is still the best character in the history of Persona. If you disagree, you are wrong and you will be tried for your transgressions. Nuff said. With that 84th incontestable fact done and dusted, we have reached the end of our journey for today. If there was at least one thing you didn't know about in this video that you found interesting or cool, all I ask for is a like and a sub. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'll give you a free cookie as always. Here you go, homie. Also, if you have any cool facts of your own, drop them down below for a chance to be featured in the next entry in this series, because we of course are going to keep the ball rolling. With that said, it's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out everybody, and have a great day.